Wireless industry group CTIA is suing the city of San Francisco, seeking to block the city's law requiring retailers to display how much radiation each cell phone emits. Should consumers' right to know come first, or does the ordinance go too far? John Walls, Vice President of Public Affairs for CTIA, the Wireless Association. California State Senator Mark Leno, a Democrat who represents San Fran in the state legislature. All right, Mr. Wall, why the fuss about this law?
Well, we certainly believe that it's misleading and certainly deceiving in that it provides really no valuable information or useful information, that every device sold in the United States today has to be compliant with FCC standards, which are based on scientific recommendations from groups all around the world. And those standards tell us that there's no relative difference between devices here in the U.S. There's no safe, safer, safest. They are all safe as deemed by the FCC. And we think it's really not us against them. It's those who are challenging that science. And that really is at the crux of this issue.
All right, first of all, meeting government standards really doesn't tell us anything. For example, if I can prove that your product hurt me even though it met government standards, I win. So just because you meet government standards really doesn't count for much.
Well, the fact is that there's a lot of evidence that certainly lends credence to the conclusion, as just reached yesterday by the National Institutes of Health, that there is no correlation whatsoever between the use of a wireless device and brain cancer.
Right, yes.
That study just came out yesterday. So again, all we can do is clearly look at the science, look at the evidence, look at the facts as we have them today, and then make a determination from that, not based public policy on personal conjecture.
The point I am making is simply I think all of that government standard stuff should be taken with a grain of salt. Senator Mark Leno, let's let Mr. Leno in here and state his case.
Yes.
If this radiation is harmless, why are we going through all this?
Well, first of all, let me say I love my cell phone. I use it every day, as do hundreds of millions of Americans. But the fact is, the phone emits radio frequency, radiation, when it is on communicating with the cell phone tower. And the fact is that the federal government 15 years ago decided there was a health issue, and that if the phone emitted more than 1.6 specific absorption rate, it would be illegal to be sold in this country. The question before us is, as a consumer, should I have the right to know whether the phone I'm looking at buying is at 1.59 or at 0.59? It's simple as that. And the FCC, if you go to their own website, will tell you not to put the phone to your brain, to use the speaker mode or earphones when you can, to text as often as you can so you don't put the phone to your brain. Don't keep them on near your body. And fifthly, they say, buy a phone with a low SAR. Why would we not let consumers know what the SAR is at point of purchase when the federal government is suggesting buy a low SAR phone?
Well, he makes a very strong case, John, if that's on the website, and they're saying text when you can instead of putting it to your head. Sounds like they're saying, so far no studies have shown anything's wrong, but we don't want to be liable if anything is wrong, so better safe than sorry.
Well, BlackBerry, in its own owner's manual, suggests that you don't keep the phones within an inch of your body or your head. They suggest that you not keep them on.
Do we know anyone who actually does that?
Well, that point is really put into that manual, because when the FCC tests the devices, they're often done, or they have to be done, in a holster around the waist, which again takes it about an inch or so away from your body, and then up to the ear as well. But they do advise that because it is tested in that way, that you should perhaps use it in that way.
So you're saying it's simply because that's how they've tested the frequency that you get signal. You're saying it has nothing to do with safety, that requirement, John?
Well, I'm just saying that's why BlackBerry has that in the manual. I think it's important to understand what a SAR value is. If you're driving through a highway overpass and there's a sign there that says safe clearance 12 feet, it doesn't matter if your car is 4 feet tall or 6 feet tall or 8 feet tall, you are still going to pass through that tunnel with the same safety factor. A SAR value of 1.6 or lower, according to science, is the exact same thing. Science tells us there's no distinction between a 1.1 SAR or a 1.5 SAR, and that's
then
really
what's the problem?
Then
why not let why not let consumers know so they can make their own choice?
Well,
let
I just said
consumers be able to decide, I'm going to err on the side of caution, especially if we're talking about my 10-year-old daughter who's got it next to her brain 3 hours a day.
Well,
why don't I, as a consumer, get to know that the phone I'm going to buy for my daughter, I'm going to be a little on the safe side and buy a low SAR phone, which the FCC website is recommending that I do.
I think you could point to points on the FCC website as well, Senator, as you well know, that say very clearly all phones sold in the United States are deemed safe. And that's a conclusive statement from that agency.
John, do you have any fear, sort of, you know, in your heart of hearts that one day this is kind of like a thank you for not smoking thing, especially for folks like you, that you're fighting for what you believe in now, but eventually it may all turn out to be wrong, this stuff may be bad for us, or do you really believe that it's fine?
Well, no, we believe what science tells us, and we completely defer to the science in this case, which is well documented and quite conclusive to this point. We're not experts, and I would suggest that Senator Leno and many others are not experts either. But we do look at the scientific evidence, and if somebody has something that would refute the conclusions of the World Health Organization, the American Cancer Society, the National Institutes of Health, and on, then they should bring that evidence to light. But right now, it just doesn't exist.
All right. I have one question for John. That is, if 1.61 is too dangerous to be sold in this country, but 1.59 is safe, how is 0.59 not safer?
That's a great question.
Completely irrational.
Well, no, sir. The science the science, sir, is that the safety threshold above that factor of 1.6 is about a factor of 50. So we've set an extremely stringent safety standard by about a factor of 50 under what science knows where thermal energy is converted. So actually we have an extremely stringent